say PAX East, okay? 1, 2, 3, PAX East! All right.
But yeah, so welcome to Cosplaying for First Timers, Cosplay 101, whatever. If this is your first time cosplaying at a big event, second, third, I feel like even as someone who's been cosplaying for 10 years, like I learn something every day. Since I'm talking, I'll go first. Hello, my name is Bubbles Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since about 2013. I started as a costume designer in college, and then I made my own costume first, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun, and then I kept doing it. I've made costumes for Wizards of the Coast now. That Chandra that's on the left was in Japan, and then I'm actually here because I do costumes and makeup for the main stage at Geek. So you should come to the show, it's really great. So that's why I'm not in cosplay right now, because I'm really working. So I like to just chill out and vibe. But I like to do a lot of Magic cosplay and Destiny cosplay. Those are sort of my main things. You can find me pretty much everywhere under Air Bubbles and Air Bubbles Cosplay. I like to stream, and I really like to travel to lots of different events to like teach people things. And yeah, to also talk about hard things. I recently did a disability in cosplay panel at Emerald City Comic Con, which was really scary, but we had a great crowd, so it went really well. Okay, next.
I'm Frankenroc. I've been cosplaying since 2016. My first cosplay was the sim that you see on the top left corner. That was at PAX South 2016. When I went to my first PAX South in 2015, I was told it was not a cosplay heavy event. That was incorrect. There were lots of cosplays there, and it started to become really inspired by the whole thing. I never actually done a cosplay for like a convention before. So I threw together that one, and I've been doing that since. I love making props that light up and flash and blink, because that's just who I am. I probably use more LEDs than should be legally possible. One thing you'll find out about me is like you'll probably see an ongoing theme with Mega Man and Mega Man franchise in my pictures. But that's because I just love the franchise so much. But you can find me at Frankenroc on all social media accounts.
Hi, I'm Aileen Rosas. I've been cosplaying since 2011. Basically, it started because my friends wanted to cosplay at one convention, and I was like, yeah, why not? So I decided to put some things together, and since I love Star Wars, I was like, this could be the easiest thing to make when it comes to a cosplay. I just had to get a lightsaber and everything, and I just loved it. And then it kept going because I'm an esports presenter, and I decided to keep cosplaying while interviewing people and going to tournaments. And it has become part of my life now. Like, I cannot go to a convention without a cosplay or without an inspired outfit. So yeah, it's really cool.
So, hi, I'm CamillaPanda. I started cosplaying in 2013, and realistically, when I was a kid, I always was frustrated that I could not find the Halloween costume that I wanted because I never wanted what everyone else wanted to wear. So I eventually was just like, you know what? I heard about cosplay. I could do this myself. It can't be that hard. I was lying to myself entirely. Then I've been on and off just for like a couple of years, and now I've picked it back up again just because it's a bit more of an outlet for me and it's a lot of fun. So I kind of focus more on like taking male characters and reimagining them as femme presenting and women characters. That's pretty much all I do in cosplay. Oh, she needs the applause. I'm just kidding.
And people can find you everywhere.
Oh yeah, you can find me everywhere as CamillaPanda. Makes my life easy.
We had a fifth member that was supposed to join us, but unfortunately a few weeks ago we learned that she couldn't. But we still want her to be a part of this, so we're mentioning her. We have a short message from her in just a little bit. Her name is DarkSerenade. I met her a couple years ago at DreamHack. She loves prop building. It basically cosplays an excuse to build a really cool prop for her. And it's just likes to use it to showcase her artistic skills and everything like that. She sometimes uses her cosplay based on whatever hair she has colored at that moment. So the Raven costume and the Valentine, because of her hair matched the color of the character at the time. So we're gonna go ahead and show the message from her.
Yeah. All right.
Hey PAX East, sorry I couldn't be there this year in person, but I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is DarkSerenade. I am a cosplayer, content creator, and I do media and event coverage in the esports industry. So, I'm a very big fan of League of Legends, and I would say that my first few cosplays when I started out were Red Card Katarina, Nidalee, and I did a Battle Bunny Ribbon cosplay about a year or two ago, which I had a lot of fun making. I'm hoping to do more in the future, obviously, because League has been such a big part of my life. One of my favorite parts about cosplaying is building props. It's really nice to kind of have, be able to use my engineering experience and use my creative mindset to, build things from scratch and, trying out like new methods and stuff when I'm making like a schematic or a diagram, or like planning out a prop. Being involved in the cosplay community today, I'd say that I realize that sometimes it's okay to have comfortable cosplays or to change things up. I've been taking complicated cosplays and simplified them for just the sake of comfort, or trying out a different look, and vice versa as well. Changing a simple cosplay to making it more detailed is okay too. One piece of advice that I'd really like to give everyone is don't be afraid to try new things. Cosplay who you want, how you want to, confidence comes along the way. And nothing is more satisfying than getting to show off your creativity and what you wanted to do, or if you wanted to change something, or change a cosplay that you already like. If you have any questions for me or would like to chat more, I'd be happy to. You can reach me on my Twitter. It is music_expresses. If you look up DarkSerenade, I pop up anyway. But and you can also catch me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/DarkSerenade. Thanks for having me here. I wish I could have made it. I hope you guys are enjoying the panel or about to start it. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your PAX, and I'm sure I will see you guys at another event.
Some great advice in there. We're definitely going to dig into some of that too. Whoop, stop. Nope. Forward. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to blitz through some of what even though it's not boring, I'm going to call it the boring stuff. But what is cosplay? Literally costume play. That's what cosplay is. It is the practice of dressing up as a character from a movie, book, or video game, especially one from the Japanese genres of manga and anime. As you've seen, it's evolved into a massive thing that it is today. I kind of like these little factoids here, though. There's a lot of speculation of when it started. You can see pictures from way back in the day of people cosplaying, but it was coined, the term cosplay was coined in 1984, potentially, at the World Science Fiction Convention. I've done panels about cosplay and costuming. There is a difference. I will not dig into it too much. You won't necessarily offend anybody if you're like, I like your costume versus I like your cosplay. It's just different. I've been to costuming conventions before, where it is a little bit more historically accurate versus cosplay. I'm not gonna offend anybody, I just want you to know there is a little bit of a difference. If you're interested, I can talk more about that later. If you like magic, this was at the most recent MagicCon Chicago. I'm the blonde one. Yes, I'm the only blonde one. I'm the blonde one. But yeah, so I'm assuming you want to cosplay. That's why you're here. Or you're already in a cosplay, which is great. There's definitely some very simple do's and don'ts I personally like to follow. There are people who do it with friend groups. I make my things a passion project. That's kind of my biggest do check mark here, because I like to compete. We talked about different or you mentioned different aspect of cosplay. I like to do the more competition and more businessy side of cosplay, which is fine. There's also other aspects of it. So what's your biggest do that comes to your guys' minds when you're this is the thing that makes me pick the costume?
Something I can feel I will be confident in.
Something you have a passion for. Because if you don't have if you're not really involved with the character that you're making, you're probably not going to finish it the way you want to.
It's also a great way to express what you like to other people without having to talk to anybody, and they would just approach you. It's so much easier to make friends that way.
That's so true. And there's a couple when I say don'ts, like it's just kind of like there are things that we've, at least for me, that I've set to myself to make it fun and keep it healthy. Don't compare yourself to other people. I know it's like a big no-duh in a lot of industry and a lot of hobbies and things like that. Some people have been doing it for a long time. Some people have just started it. So my first cosplay, way different than my costumes that I do now. I've learned a ton since I started making costumes. But I also went to school, so I kind of had like formal teaching of like costume design and things like that. And then the one that I really like to mention, because I had friends that did this and it was really hard to go to conventions with them because we'd be like, I'm like, man, I'm hungry, I'm gonna just go to the first restaurant that's open. And even if it was like a little bit more money, they'd be like, I can't actually afford anything. And so don't spend more than you can afford. Like, take care of yourself, pay your rent, you know, buy food, make sure you have a place to stay, like be healthy. You can make cosplay cheaply and we will talk about that, but like, that is sort of the thing I like to really highlight on. I don't know if there's another like don't that y'all want to really like, that maybe isn't listed or something that you think is really important.
No, I mean, that's probably good advice. It's okay to build it slowly over time if you have other priorities that you need to take care of.
And take fun photos, like the ridiculous photo of me on the right.
All of my photos are ridiculous.
And I actually like this. You added this one of our first cosplay, so since you're the first one, well, you already kind of told us.
I touched on it, but yeah, I did the Sims because I decided I wanted to build the biggest prize plumb bob I could. So I found the brightest LEDs I could. I had like a battery pack in my pocket the entire time. And I wore it for all 3 days of the convention. My friends who attend the convention said they could always find me because that thing was floating a foot above my head. And so, and because the response I got and the friendships I made because of that cosplay, which we'll get into later, I was like, you know what? There's something to this. I'm gonna keep doing this.
And for me, like I was cosplaying Diva from Blood Plus. It's an anime. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the puff sleeves, those are actually like a blanket that I had laying around in my room. And I was like, I'm not gonna need this blanket, what can I do with it? And I was like, wait, this is perfect for the cosplay that I wanna make. And I just had like a blue ribbon, so I just stitched it in there. And I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. And if you guys have seen the anime, it's like, it's okay. Like it's pretty much, yeah, you can tell what the character is. But it was just my first cosplay and I still have it with me. And I'm very proud because it only took me like a week to put it together. And I was so conscious about it. Like I was like, I don't want to cosplay. I don't feel like this is a good cosplay to show. But then once I had it, everyone was like, oh, that's such a great cosplay. And it was so much easier to make friends and to talk to with everybody. So it encouraged me to keep going. And I still have it there. Like it's my love child, my first love child.
So my first cosplay was one of the very few that I've done that are not taking male characters and making them femme presenting. That is supposed to be Claire Redfield. And New York Comic Con, everyone sat there and said, oh my God, it's Marty McFly. It's okay.
Thanks.
I accept it.
Oh, that's good. This is technically not this is my first cosplay. I could not find the first image of when I made Codex from the Guild because it was very old. But this one I still have, but I've upgraded it since then. And this costume is really dear to me because I met a lot of really great people through it. And I wore it to like one of my first PAXes after I went through a really bad breakup. So I was like not having a great time. And then it was awesome. I met a lot of cool people and I had a great time. This is also when I learned that, did you know, you will know now. Resins, there are different types. So if you mix them together, you could maybe make an explosion. So you can see the two different green colors on that ball. That's where the two resins are merging and they're trying to go like this because they don't like each other. So there was like a little bulge on that ball. It's a miracle it did not explode on my back porch. I don't have that anymore. I threw it away. I kept the rest of the staff because it's signed, and I made a different staff because that thing also weighed like a bowling ball.
Maybe one of the don'ts should have been don't make cosplay dangerous.
Don't make it dangerous.
And also, you calling the guild old makes me feel old. Moving on.
Isn't it called the Guild?
It's called it's called the guild, but you said it was old.
No, was it the cop? Okay.
Sorry. Let's pretend that just didn't happen.
That's fine. Now I feel old. Thanks. Okay. Okay, these next 3 slides I'm going to say are kind of intense. We're going to get through the intense things before we get into the more fun picture-y things. But you've probably seen 1,000 signs out there that say cosplay is not consent. Respect yourself, respect other people. You can say no. Like, when I first started cosplaying, I was excited to get my photo taken, and I would not say no, because I felt like I had to say yes. It took many years to say no, and it's okay. You may get some people who are gonna be grumpy about it, but that's their problem. That's not your problem. And all body types, interpretations are beautiful. Be kind to people. There's another line about be aware of real world issues and be sensitive to them. I've had people that did tanning, but tanned a little too much, and they are normally very pale. So there was some backlash that happened there. So just be conscious of that. And honestly, I've been a part of a lot of groups where people talk to each other and be like, is it okay if I do this thing? I did a Tamatoa cosplay, and the original art had a lot of like tattoo designs on the face. I did not do that because I know that it would have been really disrespectful. So, but I also want to check with people first too. So I don't know if there's like an etiquette that you guys follow, or if this kind of covered sort of the basics of that. Cool. We'll talk more, or I'll talk less in the future slides. I had a friend throw in these slides about photography etiquette. He is actually a photographer I worked with for many, many years. If you're familiar with Soul Studios, he's more from the West Coast, but he makes me very comfortable, so that's why I wanted him to write these things down, just to be like, it's okay to vet social media pages of photographers. If somebody has a fancy camera, it does not necessarily mean they are a nice, fancy, safe person to be around. Is their page new? Do they tag their models? What do other models say about them? There are cosplay groups that literally have Excel sheets that say like good photographer, bad photographer. And it's really helpful because since cosplay is booming so much, there's more people coming out being like, I'm a photographer, and like it may not necessarily be true. And of course, those are content reflect what you're looking for. If they're primarily a boudoir photographer, for example, but you're not doing boudoir, maybe don't use them. Not because they're bad, but they're not doing the content you want to do. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking soon, I swear. Red flag, this is very hard to read. I should have changed this. If they don't allow people to join your photo shoot, do not shoot with them. I feel like that's a very big no, duh. But like, this has happened to me before. My mom has come with me on shoots before, and the photographer is kind of like, and I'm like, no, she's coming with me. I don't care what you say. Making unwanted advances. Even my friends will be like, can I touch your hair? Can I move this thing? And I'm like, I've known you for 5 years. Yeah, it's fine. But it's nice, respecting the boundaries of the touching without asking, and only do what makes you comfortable. If they ask you to do something and you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. It's you, it's your body, your photos, it's okay. Okay, now, I'm gonna talk less. Where do you start?
It was necessary.
Thank you, I know, I just had to get the hard stuff out of the way. Now we're in the fun stuff. Where do you start? Where do you start when you pick a character? There's a lot of words up there, I understand, but what do you do when you're like, we talked about passion and all this stuff, but where do you start?
So when I'm trying to choose a character that I want to do, it's usually one that like I've thought about multiple times, and like something about the outfit or the character itself interests me. Like I just kind of on the whim at PAX West was like, I'm going to make an Astarion cosplay because it's Baldur's Gate 3 and I really like Astarion. And that's kind of how I went through that process. For my Geralt cosplay that I do, I watched the Netflix series. I did it all wrong. I didn't play The Witcher 3 or any of the Witchers or read the books. I saw the Netflix series first. I fully understand. I went in the wrong order. But I sat there, I watched it, and I said, okay, I really enjoy the fact that like the character is like so strong and tries to do the right thing and is balancing between like people and monsters. I'm like, okay, how can I reimagine all of that character into something that I would be really proud of? That's kind of how I chose that character. It's more of just, I guess, vibes. The vibes are right. Vibe check.
Sometimes it's just one of those things where inspiration will hit you at the most random time. A friend of mine sent me a picture of Mario merged as Mega Man that she found on social media back in mid-2017 or so. The minute I saw, I'm like, I have to make that real. I have to make that into a cosplay. I actually reached out to the artist and said, hey, this is my idea. He said, go for it. And so that's where I started with that one. It became one of the most popular ones, mainly because I brought my best friend into it as well. And that's the one that just really inspired me. We hit a random splash of inspiration, just go with it and see where it takes you.
Nice. I think for me, it's a character that leaves a message into my life. For example, my second cosplay was Zelda, and I used to play a lot of Smash Brothers with all of my cousins. They were all boys and everything. And the only female characters in the game in that time for the 64 was Peach, Zelda, and I think it was Samus as well. But I wanted to be girly. I wanted to be girly and playing video games and also like, you know, beat them up in the game. So I was like, yeah, Zelda, I want to be Zelda, because not a lot of people pick Zelda, and I just like female characters in games, so I usually just cosplay female characters in games, because they're so inspiring.
I think we kind of all, or well, I didn't say anything yet, but they said, do you love it, was pretty much what I heard kind of in general. Like I said, I come from like a competition background, so I really like to compete. I'm a theater major, I like to be on stage, so like that's kind of like a nice happy mix for me. I like to go on stage. So for me, it's like, can I learn something new and really challenge myself? That's what it's shifted to now, but I always make sure I love it, because I'm gonna live with it for a while. I wanna love it. And also, I bolded it on the bottom, can you afford it? If you can't right now, start just buying supplies and stash them away for later for that costume. You find the perfect fabric, but you can only buy that right now. Yeah, buy it, stash it, put it somewhere else. Maybe you'll use it for something else in the future. That's totally fine. It took me 2 years to get all the materials and finish my Tamatoa costume, because it cost a lot of money. I put a lot of LEDs in it, got rid of light in it, make it light up. But yeah, it's okay to do that. Okay, you picked it. You see it? You all close your eyes. You thought of the character you thought of it. You're like, I got it. This is the character I'm gonna make. What do you do now? It's a great question. This is my workspace now. I started cosplaying in a less than 700 square foot apartment that I shared with my now husband. I may or may not have dyed the floor green a little bit from that ball that almost exploded on my back porch. So you can really do it in a lot of spaces, but you know what's great about now? I've actually personally never used it, so maybe you guys can say something about it. But there are maker spaces now too. You can commission things, that's awesome. So I don't know, and then time management. We don't need to talk about that though. Like, what is that?
I don't have that at all.
I make, there's a good friend of mine talked about how she kind of just puts like fake deadlines with things, so she finishes them. And I totally get that, but that's why I compete, because then I have a deadline, because I'm like, I have to finish it by now. You guys have a really good, like, you can talk about like a workspace that you use or that you really like, or how your things are set up. I picked this side of my room because I really like my cutting table. I got it for free from someone on Facebook Marketplace and like made it into what it is now. So that's really my favorite thing that I use in my workspace now, because I can just iron on it and everything like that.
Yeah, we're sure some at makerspaces. There's one near where I come from Dallas, and we have like a Dallas makerspace, and yeah, you can use their resources to help you out if you don't have it at home. I've gathered materials at my own house for a while. I have a heat gun and a 3D printer and things like that. So I just like, I'm going to build this over time. So and over time, the tools I've got, and I have most of what I need right now, and to make the final product later on.
Something that happened to me at the beginning was that I was taking so many projects. I was like, yeah, I want to cosplay this character. Oh, but I also want to cosplay this other character. So what really helped me was watching YouTube videos. So I was sewing at the same time as the video was going. So it would like keep me up to like what I have to do, step 1, step 2. And it's so easy to just take as many projects and then just leave them in your closet. So I feel like having that like guideline on YouTube, you know, to help you like sew and everything, just helps you a lot.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of space in my apartment because board games. I'm not even kidding.
Here in board games.
But
This is a gaming convention, so I think we all understand.
Yeah.
Fair. So as much as I want to like have my sewing machine in my apartment, I don't. It is currently in storage. So what I've been utilizing is a lot of the thrifting and thrift stores and trying to like get secondhand stuff, and like I can do basic things like, oh, maybe I can take this out like a little bit and like adjust it. But half the time I'm lazy and I just want the costume to go on. So I'll find like different ways to like kind of get stuff to fit, whether it's just like pinning it for the day or like trying to just manage things in a way where all my cosplays like kind of stacked together in the closet to try to make more space for more cosplays, so that way I have more than what I have. It's kind of what I've been doing mostly when it comes to the not able to currently use my sewing machine, because it's one of the giant like 1920s. It comes with a whole table. I cannot fit that in an apartment.
Yeah, that's big. I also remember too, I think libraries also have like 3D printers and stuff you can use as well. So hit up your local library, because also support your library, that's awesome. Did you just crack your?
Yeah.
Okay, that was loud.
I'm sorry.
It's very loud up here. I like this picture on the bottom right is from a friend of mine, and all of the silver detail is actually a silver Sharpie. So use like really cool cosplay hacks and things and like YouTube videos. There's so many out there now. I've definitely done these things because you can make it as hard as you want, or you can make it as easy as you want. There's like tricks for also doing like fake embroidery by using like puff paint. I've done that before, and it looks amazing from afar. No one would ever know that it's actually puff paint.
And I'd like to note about how something that seems easy can actually be really hard. I've now gone through 2 iterations of trying to do Link's Soldier Hand from Tears of the Kingdom, and both of them, neither of them have turned out the way I wanted them to. It seems so easy in principle, but it wasn't. But the things you learn and you figure out what works and what doesn't, you can try to make the next one better.
Truth. Like fake glass, if you're familiar with magic, the throw-in sign of war, the silver, like all the broken glass. I went through like 3 different iterations and a ton of research to figure out what was like the safest, lightest, most travelable way I could make fake glass. And I ended up having to buy a really expensive paint, and then it came out the way I wanted. But there were a bunch of other ways that could do it. It's just the one that I chose for myself. We touched a little on materials. There's a lot of things listed here. I took some pictures of things like I've used, like that is literally my first sewing machine, that picture on the bottom. And so I kind of wanted to do like a quick, and it's such a cheesy question, but what's like your favorite material? Like one that you always use all the time?
Probably foam, because you can bend it and contort it in lots of different ways. It can, and with the right prep, it can turn into a lot of different really good props that are high quality and lightweight. And if you're walking around a convention all day, lightweight is a very good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like foam can be your best friend, but also your worst enemy if you don't know how to use it. And it has been my worst enemy for so many times, but also it saves you like so much time. And like he said, like it makes everything so much like lighter for you to carry around.
Why do we all have the same answer?
I would never say foam in my entire life, so I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I will say though, if you're interested in foam, look up Evil Ted on YouTube. He actually was a professional in the movie industry that made lots of props, and he's since carried that over to the cosplay community as well, sharing his knowledge with cosplayers on how to use foam effectively.
I only said I would never say foam because I'm really stupid and I have a really hard time with making something 2D to 3-dimensional because I have a sewing background, and so I use a lot of Worbla because to me the patterns of like sewing and Worbla are like go hand in hand. But when I look at foam patterns, I'm like, there's like 20 pieces that make this one thing, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. So that I am very bad at it. That's why I would not say foam. I put a light in it or a fog machine. Like I love making electronics. My soldering iron is probably one of my favorite things, and you can buy them on Amazon for really cheap. Just like stock the sales. But yeah. Okay, there's so many materials. You just like start hoarding them.
Actually, yeah, I'll touch on the materials with safety. I see the respirator on there. Definitely a good thing to have when you're sanding, because there's a lot of stuff you don't want to breathe in. If anyone has seen the Blendtec, tool blender things where it says don't breathe this, that applies to cosplay and sanding as well.
Yeah. Oh, and be conscious of big pets too. Because if you shouldn't breathe it, your pet should absolutely not breathe it. I usually try and lock my cats out of the room when I'm using contact cement, and I open a window and use a respirator and all this stuff. But eventually you'll start out with I started with a sewing machine and a really cheap heat gun, and then now I've hoarded things since then, and that will happen to you. Just warning you, okay? Yeah, and just a couple more things. We talked about armor, like the foam, and then I say foam versus thermoplastics. It just depends on what you prefer and how your brain works. Like for me, like I said, I prefer thermoplastics Worbla because that's just how my brain works. And I like to have something that's gonna last 5+ years, and I feel like foam doesn't really last that long sometimes, but maybe it's just because I'm really bad at using it, so I'm not sure. a lot of paint. There's the Queen of the Reef and Destiny up there that is with airbrush paint. I'd like to throw this in there, but I feel like, thankfully, I don't really need to talk about it anymore. But years ago when I first started doing Marisol, somebody was like, I use the PAX paint and it works really well. Don't. PAX paint is for prosthetics, y'all. If you put it on your skin, you're literally scrubbing a layer of skin off. So please don't. I mean, you can, I guess, if you want, but you're gonna look ridiculous the next day. So PAX paint is made for prosthetics, not your skin. If you have skin sensitivities, I developed a lavender allergy recently. It's not fun, I'm gonna let you know. There's fragrance in everything. Test different paints on yourself. A lot of like costume stores and like started carrying a lot of different types of paint. If you have friends that already have this paint, maybe ask to borrow a little and put it on the crook of your arm, because it's like a thin layer of skin there, so you can see like if you're gonna react to anything. And of course, always, as if you already do makeup, just regular makeup, you need to prime your face. The first time I tested my airbrush, I did not put a primer on my hand, so my hand was blue for 2 days because it just sucked right in them pores. Or what I do now is I hire a friend to do it, so. Yeah, sorry I'm talking so much.
I don't have much, but like I say, the only thing I've experienced here is like the paint. I don't have any experience. I think I like sleep.
Dyes can also be toxic if you do them inside. I did silk dyeing for Tamatoa, that's what's pictured there. That was with cold water, so it was a little less toxic because there wasn't like hot water like making fumes exude. If you do like stovetop, I shouldn't say stovetop because you really shouldn't actually do it on your stove, but I only have a stove. If you're gonna do dyeing with like hot water, make sure you have a dedicated amount of tools. Don't do what I did and use a spoon that still lives in my drawer now that I'm sure I've used with food before. I don't know which spoon it is now because it looks identical to another spoon. I have a separate set of tools now that is strictly for dyeing, including the dye pot that I bought. So, but yes, that was more like a safety thing. Cool, great, next slide. But your hair is not blue.
My hair's not blue this time, but I actually did get it dyed, so I just had to put that picture in there. But wigs can be your best friend when it comes to cosplay. Like I said, I have, like, you know, it's like Serenade had, like, you know, chooses her cosplay based on what color she had at the time, but you do not have to do that. One of my friends, he was Chrono from Chrono Trigger, so he has really cool, the spiky red hair wig there, and I think has a really cool wig on that, and the picture of Scarlet Witch.
I think for wigs and everything, you have to make sure that they're also comfortable for you. That wig that I'm wearing right now, you cannot tell, but I was screaming inside. So it was way too tight, and there was no way for me to like loosen it up because it was just made that way. And then when I took it off, you could see like the line of the wig just like putting pressure on my head. But it looks good. You know, it works, but definitely check that it's in your right size and it's meant for you.
I want to touch on the temporary hair color, because for that Joker cosplay, you saw that I had green hair, and then I've had green hair for days, and green eyebrows. So, because I used the same thing, and I was not, you know, the brightest crayon in the crayon box that weekend.
No, you were very bright, you were green.
You know what, you are not wrong. But make sure, like, if you do use a temporary hair color, like, if your hair is like mine and color stays very well, if it is temporary or says it is on the bottle, second guess that. And also double check what brand it is, because I had the Party City, whatever came in the Joker makeup kit, and that's what caused all of that. So, yeah.
Yes, you could also just test on a small piece of your hair, or maybe, I mean, yeah, you can test on your friend's hair if they'll let you, and see how long it stays. No, don't do that. As far as like sourcing them, I really like to buy mine from Arta. It can be a little more expensive, but honestly, they're very good quality and they can last a really long time. I have friends that also have bought wigs from Amazon and they've been amazing. So.
And sometimes you have friends that you can commission for it as well. Like I did link, like I said, for Tears of the Kingdom, and I had a friend of mine make the wig for me, and she did good work and like, yeah, can you do that for me? And she whips it together in a couple weeks, and the wig part of it was really well.
And just because, this is funny, I did this panel in Canada, so it's kind of weird to talk about contact lenses because they don't have strict rules and laws like we have here in the US. You can just go and buy them wherever. It is annoying because you have to have like a doctor's approval to get cosmetic lenses, and some of them will say no because they don't understand. But I will tell everyone the best thing you can possibly do if you don't know this is to go to your eye doctor and at least get a contact lens exam, so you know the shape of your eye, because that's going to be the most important thing when you're buying cosmetic lenses is the shape, because there's a bunch of numbers and they'll explain it all that they'll match up to what your eye shape is. I am thankfully very standard and boring, so I can put any of them in my eyeballs, and I've been fine. And they also, I've learned recently, at least my eye doctors over in Washington State, they do a free like contact lens, like teach you how to put it in your eyeball and how to take it out. It helped me so much because I have long nails now, and I did not know how to take them out of my eyes very well. I would just kind of get in there and be like, pray that I don't poke myself. It was so helpful. So those are recommendations if you're not familiar with contact lenses or cosmetic lenses or whatnot. Or definitely talk to a friend who's like had contact lenses for a long time. I talked to my sister. She gave me a lot of tips and tricks. And honestly, take reviews on them with a grain of salt, because a lot of people who are wearing cosmetic lenses, like the ones in that picture, I've never worn them before, so a lot of reviews will say like, it burns. It's because they didn't let them soak in like solution for a day. They just took them right out of the bottle and stuck them in their eyeball. So like, take the reviews with a grain of salt. I'm just gonna put that out there. And also do what makes you comfortable. You don't have to do that. You don't have to change your hair color. You don't have to wear a wig. Do what makes you comfortable.
Oh yeah. There's also another way that you can get into cosplay. If you don't have the time, if you don't have the budget, you can also create inspired outfits. So basically it would be like taking your favorite character and taking their color palette and wearing clothes that resemble those colors. And the good part is that you probably already have these things in your closet. So obviously during the pandemic, we all had a lot of like free time in our lives, and I was looking at my closet and I was getting rid of things that didn't like fit me or that I didn't want to use it anymore. And then I saw a couple of outfits and I was like, wait, this reminds me a lot of Gengar, or this reminds me a lot of this character. So then I was like, wait, why don't I like just start wearing everyday like inspired clothing of my favorite Pokemon or my favorite characters. So that's what I started to do, and then I showed it on TikTok and a lot of people liked it. I created a trend that is like, oh, what makes you think I'm an ice type trainer? And I will dress up as Pokemon trainers or as a fire type trainers. I did the whole series and it was just amazing. It was just a great way for me to spend the time during the pandemic. And also like, it allows you to share what you like to other people, even if you're at work. Like you can just be like, oh yeah, this outfit is like inspired by Pikachu. For example, the outfit that I have right now is inspired by Mightyena, the Pokemon. And you're always gonna feel comfortable with normal clothing, just in case you guys don't feel comfortable wearing certain type of cosplay or even a wig. Like you can just wear inspired outfits and take it to your work every day. It makes you feel better just to be like, oh yeah, I'm wearing an inspired outfit based on Pikachu or Jigglypuff. Like it's so cool.
Kind of related with oh my god, what do they call it? Like when you go to Disneyland and you're wearing.
Oh, Disney bound.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
I love Disney bounding. I've done that too, and you feel comfortable just going around because obviously at Disney you cannot cosplay, you cannot wear any costume, so it's a good way to show what character you like to other people there.
I love that. Okay. And you know what's great? All sitting in this room, the connections you make through cosplay. I think I had not met 2 of the 4 people on this panel. Obviously I've met myself, but 2 of the 3 other people on this panel before in real life. We just met online. So I think that's super cool. I've made so many friends and connections through cosplay, and also I've learned from so many people. That's also why I like competing. I learned so much from all the other competitors backstage, and we're all so excited when somebody else wins or whatever, but we just get to learn from each other. So I know you guys kind of added this panel, so what else would you like to add to it?
Yeah, and sometimes the picture I made with Anna right there, she and I are friends this day, and I met her back in 2016, and she was actually supposed to come up here, but she is with like family function down in Mexico. But she and I talk regularly. She's a family friend of ours. She It's just one of the people that I met through cosplay, and the one below is another friend of mine that, you know, because of the costume you happen to be wearing at the same time, they coordinated, and you know, you have to coordinate. They're just like, hey, that looks cool, and then you just develop connections from there.
I think one of the most incredible things of being part of doing cosplay is that makes you part of a bigger community. You can just join any Discord server asking for advice and people would help you. And it's a great way to make friends. The picture that is in the middle there, it's me and my best friend. We got into cosplay at the same time, and now we do it all the time. We go to all the conventions. We go to Disneyland for Star Wars Celebration or Star Wars Night, and we dress up as our favorite characters. And I've also implemented it for my work when I go to tournaments, when I interview people. Like, everyone is like, oh yeah, just wear your normal clothing, like it's fine. But I decided to do it on cosplay, and that makes me connect with other people and being able to talk about cosplays and me asking them what's their favorite cosplay that they want to do or something. So also I integrate my cosplays into my culture. So for the Day of the Dead, I decided to integrate Ahsoka into it. So it's that picture that you guys can see there. Just putting like another detail into the painting and the body paint thingy. When I put that on my face, I didn't think this through, and it took me a long time to take it off my face. So I think what I would recommend is to look for a really good makeup remover. I used the normal one that I usually wear, and it didn't help. I was like scrubbing soap and water. I was like, what am I gonna do? And I made a mess in my bathroom. So yeah, but it's just a great way to make friends, and yeah, you inspire each other. Like being a cosplayer, like really inspired each other, and you're never gonna find another cosplayer that is gonna talk badly about your cosplay. We have all been there, and we have all started from scratch. So we always are like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Oh yeah, maybe we should do this next time. And that's how we all connected too. Like we're cosplayers and we're here, and we didn't even meet. So that's perfect.
Nothing to say about connections. I'm just kidding. You don't have to say anything. But yeah, I know. I feel like we could like be really sappy and cheesy on this slide for a really long time because I've made so many lifelong friends through cosplay. But I will say, if my husband ever decides to cosplay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I married a nerdy tech computer bro, and I would have it no other way. I don't want to make two costumes. He also will carry my props, which is great. He's like, oh, you want me to carry your giant machine gun? Obviously. And I'm like, thank you.
Speaking as a nerdy type computer bro, though, he can learn how to make his own costumes.
He won't. This man knew how to solder, and he would not teach me how to solder when I started doing electronics. He's like, you have to figure it out yourself. And I was like, okay then. But now I can solder better than him, so you know what? It's fine. Okay, anyway. I don't know, you made me think of all these photos I could have included in here too, but I like all these ones, they're so cute. Yeah, I like the just going to cons at the end there. Going to cons, as we all are at a con.
I went to a Comic-Con back a long time ago. These two people who I'm pretty sure never met before, both happened to be Batman. They just walked toward each other and shook hands. Instant friendship.
The first PAX is like 2000, it was not my first PAX actually, but the first one I went every day in 2010, I think. Nope, 2011. That was very loud. Did someone hear that? That was her body. I'm old and creaky. So speaking of a long time ago, I was dressed as Codex, and I ran into a friend who was wearing a WoW, or we weren't friends yet actually, a person wearing a WoW costume. If you've ever been to the Seattle Convention Center, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, there's a sky bridge that you would get trapped on if you were in cosplay, and you would just stand there, and literally, I never met this person before, but I was like, oh my god, I need a picture with this guy. So we're standing next to each other, and we're trapped there for a good 20 minutes. And then eventually I was like, we like exchanged information, and he's like, I was like, we gotta split up or we're never leaving. And he's like, yeah, okay, we'll talk later, goodbye. We just had to like split, and we're best friends still to this day. But yeah, it's one of those things where we're friends, we gotta talk later, we're never leaving. But yeah, and guess what? You're ready to cosplay, everybody. You learned about proper etiquette and photos, and well, we didn't actually talk too much about social media, but you don't have to have a social media presence. I will just put it out there. You don't have to do that. But it can help if you would like to post your stuff or be found. Every con has rules about props and everything like that. Give credit to other people where credit's due. I commission lots of things from friends now, and I make sure to always credit them in the post when I'm sharing that. Take care of yourself. I had a friend that refused to drink water during the day because it was too hard to go to the bathroom. Don't do that. Go to the bathroom, drink your water.
Stay hydrated.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh, an emergency repair kit, also very helpful to have. I have a tiny glue gun that I literally keep with me everywhere. And then have fun.
Some conventions even have cosplay repair stations that with like hot glue guns and duct tape and everything like that that do really helpful with that. And one thing I don't think we actually covered here, but is eventually you get a feel for this. And yeah, we talked about the first cosplay, but what about the second and the third after that? You kind of get a feel for like what works and what doesn't. And you kind of like, discover your niche basically as it were. And, you kind of take that in going forward. Like my thing has been like crossovers. Like I said, I did Mario and Mega Man together, I did Mega Man and Deadpool together. And, I've got an idea for my next one. Just don't tell the rest of them because they're all going to be going at the same convention I am in a couple months. So I want to keep it a surprise for them. But anyway.
No, that's great. I have made 12 iterations of Chandra from Magic the Gathering because I am literally obsessed and I hate wearing wigs. So if I can be redhead, I will be redhead. Also, that's my nephew, Azur from Destiny. Isn't he adorable?
Yes, he is.
You can say no, I guess, if you don't like this, but I'm just forcing it.
My daughter's cosplayed already. She's only 7, so.
That's another panel. I've done a panel about kids in cosplay at conventions as well, so you can send me messages, or you're a parent.
Yeah.
I have cats and nephews.
About the first cosplay she wore, she interviewed her for, and so my daughter now thinks she's gonna do cosplay for the rest of her life.
Oh, she will. I'm planning to interview her next time. Can't wait.
That's so cute. Anything else, Ryan?
Having a mop-up?
I don't know. Any more bones to crack over there? Can I ask how you made that giant pill bottle you're holding? I need to know.
That was a 3D print. I have one that like goes up to like 400 millimeters tall. And so that was what I did. And I knew how to do it with the screw top and everything. I will say I misjudged the size of the screw top. So when I'm trying to unscrew and screw this thing back together, it took me a good solid 30 seconds to swing it all the way off and all the way on. But the reason why I had the pill bottle was I had to make tinier versions of this that I was handing out to folks. And so that was just a great way to carry it around. So, and one thing that picture does not show is that I actually broke in transit. I packed it in my suitcase and it was split in half when I got to Atlanta. So, like I said, cosplay repair station, hot glue gun, and duct tape works really well.
And if you want to go the competition route, which is a whole nother panel, but if something breaks, I've done this before, I'm much better about it now. Try not to let it ruin your entire existence.
Yes, a friend of mine, she was very passionate about her costume. She loved the amount of detail she put in work into it. And the judge during pre-judging lifted up the one section that was not perfect, and she was like, "Oh my God, that one section I didn't do right." But the rest of the costume was really, really good, and they knew that. So don't fret over the small stuff like that. It just happens sometimes.
Okay, yeah, you know what's great? I've never done this panel this fast before. So I don't know what's happening right now.
Well, we do have a section here dedicated to Q&A,
yes.
Because we've info dumped a lot on y'all here in the last 45 minutes, 50 minutes actually. And so if you have questions about if you have an idea in your head that, we invite you to come up to the mic up here and ask us a question about it. And if you want to be interviewed for a quick segment I'm doing, I invite you to stay afterward as well. So if you have any questions or anything, please come up to the front.
There's no dumb questions. Or
There are no dumb questions.
I've actually learned things from doing this panel. People have come up and been like, this is something I learned, and it's been fantastic.
Yes.
Other than just do it, what kind of advice would you give to someone who has no sewing skills and no concept of how you would make clothing?
I'm right there with you. I have 0 sewing skills. And even though I've put stuff together, I still have 0 sewing skills. There's a specific product I was introduced to called Stitch Witchery. It's like this mesh that you can put between areas, and you basically iron it on with seam, and it merges together pretty well. It's not perfect as stitching, but it gets the job done. And one of my favorite tools for cosplay, hot glue. Once again, won't get you the best results, but it's a good way to get started at least. And if you want, and if you're like, well, I've taken that as far as I can go. Maybe the next step is to learn a little bit of stitching and take that to the next level.
There's sometimes places like, well, I was about to say Joanne's, but maybe not anymore. There are places that will teach classes. I actually literally took classes recently before the pandemic, and you can learn like things there too if you don't want to buy a sewing machine right away as well. Or I've known people that literally hand sew the entire thing. I would never do that because I hate hand sewing, but that also is a route.
Yeah, I took costumes and makeup in college, but I'm still trash at sewing. So
It's a big mood, so trust me. I sew a lot of stuff and I feel the same way. But yeah, I like what you said.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for whoever wants to answer. Was there a part of your costume that you redid numerous times? Like I'm stuck, okay, something turned out not quite the way I wanted, and I'm remaking it, and I'm like wondering, is there a part that you have remade numerous times, and when were you like, okay, good enough?
Yes, I made a helmet once out of plaster. I will never make a helmet out of plaster ever again. I didn't know better. I will be honest. I was like, hey, paper mache with plaster. Not even just during the construction phase of it, but just wearing the darn thing to a convention. I had a headache for a week after that because it was so much pressure. But I was committed to the bit and didn't know what I was doing basically. So, and so later on, I learned how to make foam helmets. And so it's like there are better ways to do things sometimes. If it's just not working, try another way.
I literally made that breastplate 3 times. And I just finished this. And it's because like my body is different. I broke my foot last year and had to have surgery. I gained a lot of weight. So like finding patterns that worked for me was really difficult. So I made that 3 times. And it was super frustrating and stressful. One thing that's helped me is I stream a lot of my cosplay work. You don't have to do this, but like streaming with a crowd of people that really support me really helped me continue pushing through to get the proper pattern that I needed and to use. And making a mock-up is also super helpful, but yeah, it happens. It just happened to me.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you for the panel, and a very quick question. Boots, custom boots, specifically leather. Any advice? I'm looking to do sort of a pirate in the future. It's got straps and kind of complicated.
If you're wanting like actual boots, I don't have any experience with that, but I've done like shoe covers before. Basically, they're fake. They be fake boots. That might be a good first step, and basically just like to make something out like with elastic, you slip over your shoe, and it'll look right for the part. But if you're going to go the full route with it, just make sure they're comfortable, especially if you can walk around all day.
Or start with a really small leather project if you really want to go gung-ho and do everything leather. I don't know if you have experience with this stuff. I've had friends start with a smaller leather project before moving on to the big thing. Like they'll make a pouch to go with it first and be like, well, that was fun, now I'm ready.
Sure. Thank you.
There's also like a leather paint, paint in Amazon. Like I bought it for the Ray cosplay that I did it, and I covered my shoes with it with foam, and then I painted over it, and it looks like leather, and it's so much easier to just bend and to stick things together. So maybe that's a good alternative. Yeah.
Take a look.
So I have a question about wigs. I have a wig that has a lot of winglet curls that I need to do. Do you have any advice on setting it so it stays?
Yes. There's multiple ways you can either get like foam curls and do that. When you do, if you want to do it yourself by hand with like a curling iron, or if the fibers will allow it, instead of letting the curl fall completely out, you keep it in a ball and pin it in place until it's completely cooled. I know people have done it where they do the curls and then they put like a bag over it and then they steam it. That's another way you can do it as well, but you have to make sure it completely cools before you undo any of the curls. That's the biggest thing, because wigs will just cool immediately and then you lose it.
Okay.
And also to make sure that the wig is not plastic, because I made that mistake. Like I curled one of my wigs and it was plastic and it all went like, yeah, both like foam on the floor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
No pressure.
Nope, yeah. No one's gonna see this except for everyone we post this online for.
And also, there really is no dumb question, like, not one bit.
You're talking to somebody who literally almost caused an explosion in her back porch. I mean, like, it's fine.
Does that wig method work on hair? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Same thing.
Do I have to soak my wig?
Do you have to soak it?
Yeah.
In what context?
Like before I start styling it?
No,
Yeah, I think so.
no. I've only done it when they start getting really nasty because I'm very bad at taking care of them. Don't be like me. I will soak them after if I want to refresh them and fresh them up, but you don't have to do it before you style them at all. No. That's a great question.
When it comes to kind of wearing your cosplay out and about, do you have any suggestions on like modifications to keep yourself warm and dry and things like that? Because obviously now it's like March in Boston, so just wondering.
I live in Seattle, it rains all the time, so. I won't lie, I carry an umbrella. That's really stupid, but like tights underneath also are really helpful if you're in like new tights that can help make things warmer. Honestly, when I was talking about making costumes for kids on a different panel, if you at least have the key elements that make a character identifiable, you can absolutely change other aspects. If they're normally wearing a tank top, but it's gonna be December or something, or it's raining, you could totally make it a long sleeve as long as the colors are consistent and the rest of the key items of the character are there.
Yeah, the friend I posted with the nude sim with the pixelation, she wore a shoulderless top and the shortest shorts you could possibly find. It was Texas in January, and even in January, even Texas can get cold in January. So not the best idea for her because she was kind of shivering the entire time. But yeah, you can find ways to edit this and put on a skin tone color, sweatsuit, hope under it or something, to get a similar effect. And just pay attention to the weather that's going to be and just kind of adapt accordingly.
Yeah, I frequent New York Comic Con, and my Witcher cosplay is like very high, like cut dress and everything. So I have had to modify it 4 times now, depending on the weather, because either it was way too hot or I was shivering. So I found like fleece lined tights. I'll get not the tightest spandex because I want to be comfortable, but like a spandex that's kind of thick. So that way I can just kind of keep more of my body heat and try to match my skin tone as best as I can.
So for LA Comic Con, I dressed up as Scarlet Witch, but Scarlet Witch has 2 versions, the one that doesn't have any sleeves and the one that has sleeves. And LA Comic Con was in December, and I was playing in my head and I was like, I need something with sleeves. So I was like, I'm gonna make this version of Scarlet Witch. So it always helps if you really wanna make sure that you're comfy and warm. Always to plan oh, maybe this cosplay that has sleeves, or maybe a cosplay that has some fur on top of it. For example, The Witcher, you can even put some fluff in here and it's very comfy.
You know, make it your own, add little elements that are your little zest on it as well.
Thank you.
Hello.
How would you go about storing wigs? Because I got my first wig a long time ago as a gift, and I tried to keep it in its original box, and it became such a mess. It was all tangled up, and moths got to it. It was a nightmare. So how would you go about it?
I have found on Amazon, because I keep all my cosplay stuff in a closet with a 3D printer in it. They have these wig holding things that can go onto the bar so that it just hangs. So I don't have to worry about it getting balled up or anything. If it's a longer wig, I will still try to braid it and try to protect the hair that way, but otherwise it's just hanging in the closet.
Yeah. If you have lace front wigs, you especially need to make sure they're stuffed so they have some shape when you store them, because or else there'll be a fold in the center. You can get it out by steaming it or soaking it in hot water, but I literally had to throw away a wig because I was stupid. But you stuff them, or if you really are a big fan of the wig, just buy a wig head and keep it on the wig head. I cover them, I keep the netting that comes with them, and I net up the hair, depending on how, well, any of them, doesn't matter how long or short they are. And then I also will put a bag over it. I save like all of those stupid like clear zip bags that sometimes like Amazon clothes come in. I just keep them all and I put them over the wig heads. It kind of looks a little creepy, I won't lie. But if you have the space, it's another method you can do.
Just saying, nothing.
I bought a hat hanger, you know, like where you can put hats and stuff. And it has like 8 different hangers, and I just put all of my wigs there. And the ones that need extra care, I make sure that I put it in their net thingy. You know, some wigs come with it with its net. I make sure that it's always like, I use the brush for wigs especially, so then it doesn't get tangled. And then I put it on the net, and then I store it if they don't fit in the hat hanger.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, we're at.
They're about to play the Oscar walk-off music. And anyone who wants to be part of a very quick rapid-fire interview, please meet us outside, and have a good PAX.
Thanks so much for being here.